Shalom, family. Okay, so even the babies. Okay, so welcome back to another Faithful Friday Sabbath class, and we're going to continue in the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 13, and I believe what was it, verse 11. Verse 11. Okay. Um, yeah, verse 11. So let's pick things back up. So let's read in the book of the Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 13, and verse 11. And it reads, now, I wanna back up a little bit. Now I wanna back up a little bit. Now, see, because I want to get into the spirit. Let's read back at it 1, okay? 13 and 1. Surely vain are all men by nature, who are ignorant of God, and could not, out of the good things that are seen, know him that is. So many of us as human beings, we're not ignorant is a lack of awareness. We're not fully aware of God the way that we should be aware of God. Okay? There's a situation where it's lacking. So surely vain are all men by nature who are ignorant of God and could not, out of the good things that are seen, know him that is. Because even though it's evident, those things are there, there's not the awareness of it in the way that it should be connecting. We're still very much so disconnected as a whole. So neither by considering the works did they acknowledge the work master. So seeing all these things, they didn't acknowledge, you know, the Most High and all the things that were made. But what? But deemed either fire or wind or the swift air or the circle of the stars or the violent water or the lights of heaven to be the gods which govern the world. And that's the biggest thing that we're dealing with. All these other things, sun, moon, earth, wind, and fire, all these things that were made, that is the creation, but it's not the creator, okay? So this is what it is we're dealing with. So now I just want to, make sure I just kind of jump back on those things. So now I want to go back and jump back down with where we were reading, because these things I did cover, but I did kind of want to get back in the spirit of those things. Let's get verse 8. Howbeit neither are they to be pardoned. Verse 9, for if they were able to know so much that they could aim to the world, how did they not sooner find out the Lord thereof? But miserable are they, and in dead things is their hope, who called them gods, which are the works of man's hands, gold and silver, to show art in and resemblances of beast, or a stone good for nothing, the work of an ancient hand. Now, verse 11. Now a carpenter that felleth timber, after he have sawn down a tree, meet for the purpose, and taken off all the bark skillfully round about, and hath wrought it handsomely, and made a vessel thereof fit for the service of man's life. So this is how a lot of times these idols are made. This is what we're about to go on, how these things are made. So verse 12, and after spending the refuse of his work to dress his meat, hath filled himself, and taken the very refuse among those which serve to no use, being a crooked piece of wood and full of knots, hath carved it diligently, when he had nothing else to do, and formed it by the skill of his understanding, and fashioned it to the image of a man. So now, here it is, and one of the things with how these idols are made, some of it comes with idleness. Idolatry can come through idleness. A lack of not only things to do, but constructive things to do, And then the mind can begin, see, a lot of time is good, but then it can also be dangerous, because with that time comes possibilities to do things that are wrong, bad, unlawful in the eyes of the Most High. So that's one of the things that, led to these types of situations, or you get curious but in unnecessary matters and in a bad thing. Your mind starts, like I say, an idle mind is the devil's workshop. It starts getting filled with all these crazy ideas. And so, but yet and still, he said, hey, they cut down this tree and, wood carving. I want to carve something up. But then you make these things, you make these graven images, and but now, or you make some type of creature or beast like we do in 14, or made it like some vile beast, laying it over with vermilion and with paint coloring it red and covering every spot therein. And when he had made a convenient room for it, set it in a wall and made it fast with iron. So just do the steps, you decorated it, colored it, set it on some type of stand, you have all these types of things that were happening, and it's not necessarily people doing this are just dumb. 'Cause like I said, they had skill, they had understanding, of some things, to be able to make or carve or put this together in the first place. Verse 16, for he provided for it that it might not fall, knowing that it was unable to help itself, for it is an image and hath need of help. So now they put all this work to try to get something to hold it up, and understanding it has to be supported in some kind of way. It can't just otherwise it'll just fall over. It could just get knocked down. And this is I want this up. 17. Then maketh he prayer for his goods, for his wife and children, and is not ashamed to speak to that which hath no life. Well, I would say not ashamed to speak to that which hath no life, because the reality is, if I am, all right, put it to you this way. I'll take like one of these lines here I have on a desk, right? Decoration, decoration. It's not idolatry, because we're not in a situation where we're saying, oh, touch the lion, rub its head, rub its crown 3 times, and you'll be blessed for the week. We're not doing that. Not worshiping as God. Oh, behold, I don't know, someday, Ashaka, the God of the, I don't know, stone lions, beholder of all that is fuzzy, making something. But, it's one of those things where, but still imagine up here talking to this, and believing this will give me answers and it will lead me down a path of virtue and righteousness, and it'll answer my prayers, and and I have this up, and I'm just, oh, mighty lion, what will befall me today good, think about that, and people do things like this, and it's one of those things to where this could fall on the ground and break. You could, like, this is nothing. There's no life in this. This ain't finna all of a sudden earth finna rumble and it's finna start walking across the table. But yet and still, you have people that put so much into wood and stone deities that they're not gonna do anything. You have to bear them. They're not gonna bear themselves. So it's just kind of one of those common sense things. You think it would click, but yet and still, a lot of people, it don't click just across the earth. It doesn't click that way, So even though having some understanding, some knowledge, some skill, you can't see those basic things, So, man, it just, it's amazing. Some of us even come from that type of world. You may have had various idols and things where it's like, now looking back on, as you learn the truth, that those are no gods. They can't do anything for me. Or just even like Lucky Charm, Lucky Rabbit's foot or something like that, where they ain't gonna do nothing for me. So 17, then maketh he prayer for his goods, for his wife and children, and is not ashamed to speak to that which hath no life. 18, for health he calleth upon that which is weak. For life prayeth to that which is dead. For aid humbly beseeches that which hath least means to help, and for a good journey, he asketh for that which cannot set a foot forward. Now, that's powerful. That's powerful. Because you have people praying to these dumb idols, because it can't speak, can't talk. That's the essence of the definition of dumb. That it can't speak, can't talk, can't operate right. They can't even. That's dumb. So, but this is beyond dumb. So now it's one of those things to where, for strength, I'm calling upon something that it has no strength. It's weaker than me. Asking something that to help me, in a way, like it said, I'm praying, for life and longevity is something that's dead itself. How am I going to get life from something that's dead? Likewise, something that, something, like it says, and for a good journey, like I'm trying to hope, I hope, help me make it through the day, help me, go and have a safe commute to and from work. When this thing can't even commute or walk forward itself. I'm asking a variety of things from something that is very much so limited. Whereas with the Most High God is not limited. Most High God is limitless. But these things are very much so limited, and even as we'll get to, the scriptures say you're bound down to some so-called God that is less than yourself. You're much greater than this or anything of a similitude ever will be. Just you. You're much greater. So, but yet, reading on, 19. And for gaining and getting, and for good success of his hands, asketh ability to do of him that is most, it didn't say just a little, it said most unable to do anything. This thing is very much so most unable to do anything. It can do nothing. Think about nothing. It don't matter. I put it aside. It ain't finna all of a sudden raise itself up. All of a sudden just why dost thou layest me to the side? It ain't even gonna talk. I mean, but yet and still people have various they hold in high reverence, high esteem. I'm trying to pray and asking some type of stone or figure to help me with my marriage, help me get through school, help me. And this thing can't even give me an elementary school education, not even a preschool education. Couldn't even give me 1 + 1. But I'm hoping it helped me through life and other complex issues. Think about what kind of sense does that make? Really doesn't. But let's continue. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 14 and verse 1. Again, so you already know this is going to go into another perspective. But still, we still on topic. One preparing himself to sail and about to pass through the raging waves calleth upon a piece of wood more rotten than the vessel that carrieth him. Think about that, because some of them wood and stone so-called guys out, they just leave out, in certain places. Some are outside and some just sit on certain places outside. They fasten it down. You might have seen that where you had certain hospitals or certain gardens or, certain places. They just, that idol just sit there, collecting all sorts of dust and gangrene and you name it, But like I said, it's old rotten vessel, old sour, bad, old, mildewed, rusted, just depending on what it made out of. It just, what kind of God you worship that rust? What kind of God you got, idol you got that just get all mildewy, rancid smelling? No, that ain't it, you know. So, verse 2, for verily desire of gain devised that, and the workman built it by his skill. Verse 3, but thy providence, O Father, governeth it. For thou hast made a way in the sea and a safe path in the waves. Now think about that. See, because with the idols is nothing, but with the Most High God, He actually made a way in the sea. How? He made it to where although you're in the ocean, you be seeing the waves and stuff, but still made it to where somehow you can set a boat on it and sail. Even though the waves can get choppy, Most High can keep it still enough to where it can be traveled on. That's powerful. That's powerful. Way more than what wood and stone idols can do, people worship. And then, second part about it is it says, in a safe path in the waves. How? Because you have currents. You have currents in the sea, in the waves, that allows one to be able to safely navigate and charter the various oceans and seas. So, but that was all part of the Most High God's design that way. We ain't finna up here, set a image of the waves and oh, God or goddess of the ocean, give us safe passage and travel. No. A call to the rain god. No. Because the power first off, there is a power behind these things. The power that's behind these things can cause anything to happen. And these things, the power made these things. It was created. And why worship the creation when you can worship the creator? So, moving on. Verse 4, showing that thou canst save from all danger. Look at that. Most High God showing that just with the ocean thing, showing He can save from all danger. He can save. Part of why He put currents is, hey, stay on these paths, and you'll be all right. Things will go better. It'll fare better. Yea, though a man went to sea without art. Yea, though a man went to sea without art. Oh man, 5. Nevertheless, thou wouldest not that the works of thy wisdom should be idle. So now, like I said, verse 4, showing that thou canst save from all danger. Yea, though a man went to sea without art. See, think about that. I like that one. Why? Because the Most High, He can save from all danger, even if you may not have planned as well, calculated as well, or charted your path as well, or been as skilled or as knowledgeable as what you should have been. The Most High can still come through and save you. He can still make a way to come through and save you. That's beautiful. So that's why I like that one, meditating on it. Verse 5, so nevertheless, thou wouldest not that the works of thy wisdom should be idle. And therefore do men commit their lives to a small piece of wood, and passing through the rough sea in a weak vessel are saved. Oh, man. So, like I said, nevertheless, thou wouldest not that the works of thy wisdom should be idle. Most High God, the things He created, He doesn't want them to be in vain, especially man, especially man not being preoccupied with the things man should be preoccupied with. And therefore do men commit their lives to a small piece of wood, But yet, still you have men, even aside from how He made us and everything He gave us, man, they can choose these devices and commit themselves heavily to them. That these things become staples in their lives. So, like it says, in passing the rough sea in a weak vessel are saved. You know, Still, thanks to Most High, passing the sea, even though the sea is strong, sea is strong and mighty. You know, it can crush you. It has the power to crush you. When waves have the power to submerge you underneath the sea, bring you into submission. You know, whirlpool can open up, suck you down into the depths, never to be found or come up again, no way out. So much, but yet and still, God made it to where you can still build a boat and safely put it on the water and navigate the waters. That's pretty impressive. So it just depends on what choice the Most High plays. And it's impressive because it's the Most High makes us to where we can overcome so many things, and just makes it easier for us. Easy. Verse 6, from the old time also, when the proud giants perished. See, like proud giants. Giants are proud. This way, more negative. Pride, more so. So, when the proud giants perished, the hope of the world, governed by the hand, escaped in a weak vessel and left to all ages a seed of generation. So now, like I said, now thinking the past, the old time, so that our future, rests in the hands of an ark that was made. But when compared to the might of the ocean, that ark, that boat, fairly weak. When compared to the strength of the ocean, fairly weak. The ocean is much bigger than the ark. The ocean has the ability to move that ark as it would will. So at the command of the Most High, that is. So you have that. So now, and it says in verse 7, for blessed is the world. So, little spider. For blessed is the wood whereby righteousness cometh. So now, let's let you know something. Blessed is the wood whereby righteousness cometh. Why? Well, verse 8 will also help us by giving numbers. But, now with that being said, now we're going to put that aside, but that which is made with hands is cursed, as well it as he that made it. He, because he made it, and it, because being corruptible, it was called God. So now, blessed is the wood whereby righteousness cometh. First and foremost, that is both making reference like to the ark, because the ark was built by the hands of man with skill, knowledge, understanding, but it was used as a tool to the aid of man. But although it saved man, it was not worshipped by man, nor meant to be worshipped by man. So it wasn't, oh, thank you, almighty boat, for keeping me and my family safe, giving us safe travel through the sea. Oh, hell, the boat. Oh, you didn't have that. So you didn't have that. That's part of one of the things dealing with, because that boat was a help and aid, but the boat was a tool. And the tool is only as useful as the person wielding it. So Noah and his family, they were wielding that tool to be of use. But it was made and designed by the Most High God. He provided the wood. He provided the instructions on how to make it. So, perspective. Verse 8. But that which is made with hands is cursed. But now, the things that you create, now this isn't just anything, it's dealing with idols, idolatry. That the thing which is made with hands is cursed. The idols and things you make and form, those things are cursed. But not only it, but also the person that made it. You're cursed. Why? Because he made it. Because you made it to be with the intent to be worshiped. The first thing started with how you were putting it together. That was a problem. That was a problem. And to try to make something that can be worshipped. A lot of these things you see, like made with the hands of man, like you see a lot of statues weren't really made or constructed like that concerning our people. You know, our kings, they wasn't building statues like, because that's how part of idolatry happens. You know, they wasn't big on those things because they knew that's a big part of how idolatry happened. Like a statue of the person, people are more likely to worship it in a variety of ways. You feel like they just got to touch the statue. If I just touch it, if I just touch it, it'll bless me. You know, oh, I just got to rub it. You know, I just got to rub it. Just to people still do those things today. Like the stars on Hollywood, you know, in Hollywood, the stars, you know, some people treat them stars as sacred. Them celebrity stars, they treat them sacred. So make sure they go out there and clean them for their favorite. Got to make sure it stays clean for them. So make sure they don't step on them. No, I can't step on it. Real, get mad if you do. So you have things of that nature. So all of these practices that aren't necessarily good or sound doctrine for us. So people do even then. They have statues and things, even of celebrities, and oh man, they just gotta you know, probably just as long as he blesses me, or just if I don't do this, then I won't have a good week. He or she won't bless me. I need their blessing, their favor. So I just gotta rub their back 3 times, you know, because this is Fuzzy Wuzzy the lion. If I don't rub their back, then I won't have a good week. I really believe those things, you know, and can affect their psyche, and they're more likely to move that way. So count everything to their idol, need to be good or bad. So let them miss a day. Oh, the week was bad because I knew it. I knew I should have went back and petted Fuzzy Wuzzy. Then I would have had a good week. That's like they can really feel. So that's why verse 8 says, "But that which is made with hands is cursed, as well it as he that made it. He, because he made it, and it, because being corruptible, was called God. But yet you call these things a power. Believe you get power from them. So even if you don't call them the Most High God, but you still believe, oh, well, if I hold it, touch it, keep it, it will bring me good luck, good fortune. It'll make things happen in my life, when it really won't do anything in your life. It won't let you do anything. Nothing good. Verse 9. For the ungodly and his ungodliness are both alike hateful unto God. That's the other part. The ungodly and his ungodliness, his or her, are both hateful unto God. Meaning what? Most High God does not love you in those states. Repent, change, clean yourself up, and he'll consider you can have something to work with. But if you don't, that's it. God ain't rocking with you with that because it's not of him or his spirit, not the most high God. Verse 10. For that which is made shall be punished together with him that made it. So with those things you worship as idols, Most High God not only gonna destroy or punish those things, he gonna get you too. Because you made this like this. Verse 11. Therefore, even a hope, therefore, even upon the idols of the Gentiles shall there be a visitation. So that's still gonna happen in the future. Happening now, and it's been happening, but it's growing. That everything that people worship and all of them need to be stones, statues, or monuments, you name it. All those things will get destroyed by the Most High. That's what it means, visitation. He's gonna come and take a look. Oh, they still worshiping it? Bet I got you. Okay. Time for a thunderstorm. We're gonna fix this right now. Hold that. I'm gonna take care of this. We need a thunderstorm. That's what we need. Strike that thing down. So, verse 11. Because in the creature of God, they are become an abomination and stumbling blocks to the souls of men and a snare to the feet of the unwise. Okay, that's what they're becoming. So thinking now. So these things, these idols, not only a situation where it's in the way for a lot of people, but it's also stumbling blocks to those who are simply just trying to keep the law, but finding out like, what? He do what? His wife do what? No, that ain't right. That ain't right. So, yep, that's what you would be dealing with. That's part of how there's stumbling blocks to the, as it says, to the souls of men, and a snare to the feet of the unwise. Stumbling blocks. It's not what you want. Verse 12. For the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication, and the invention of them, the corruption of life. So, the devising is the making of idols. So, for the devising of idols, as I was. Verse 12, for the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication, and the invention of them, the corruption of life. So the devising or making of idols was how our people started to fall away. But now it also says the beginning of spiritual fornication, because remember, idolatry, ensure the serving of other gods, understanding anything can be and something that could be worshipped as an idol. So even when it comes down to, even your children, your spouse, those things begin a spiritual fornication, because you're separating yourself from the Most High God and placing something else as a power in front of you that you will choose to bend or break the Most High God's laws to please or do concerning, which should not be done. But yet that is what is done. And there's times where, we openly may do these things usually because out of ignorance, and some, they may choose to do it with a little bit of knowledge. But this is something that when you understand, like, okay, again, spiritual fornication, idolatry. We look at, let's say, Adam and Eve. They both had a season of idolatry through their mistake. So being in a place where now, instead of having the Most High God on top, the Most High God drops to second, third, fourth place. Because now in place, you're putting, a stranger in place, or your spouse or child, or combination of factors. But everything but the Most High. But the Most High should be at the very top in your life, no matter what is going on. So, and everything should be filtered through the Most High God. Easier said than done, but it's possible. Sometimes you got to fight. That fight ain't always easy, though, but you still have to fight, okay? But like verse 11 said, therefore, even upon the idols of the Gentiles shall there be a visitation. You know, Most High God, he's coming back for vengeance in that regard. He's coming back to destroy, you know. So we have to be mindful of the simple fact that we can't allow ourselves to be caught up in various forms of idolatry. Various forms. Idolatry is not cookie cutter. It can look like a variety of things. And sometimes your strength may not be enough. Your discernment, your knowledge may not be enough. You have to pray and even fast to ask the Most High for that strength, for that discernment, for that wisdom, so you don't put yourself in a place where you start going left and going astray, or that the Most High, He's just not working with you like that because you're all unclean. You defiled yourself. You have to clean yourself up if you want me to mess with you, and that can take time. I mean, it's going to take time. But nevertheless, I'll end things there. Let me know. I'm gonna pick things back up at 11. So I'm gonna backtrack. I'm not gonna go straight into. So I'm gonna pick things back up at. Let's pick things back up at 10 next time. Yeah, Wisdom Psalm 14 and 10. 'Cause I want to make sure it flows good for where I cut off, so that way I don't have to build as much of that back up. So we'll start back at Wisdom Psalm 14 and 10, and we'll continue reading down, from there. Okay. All right. So with that, hope you got some perspective or things that nature. Also forgive me too. I also want to make sure I do those things that I'm gonna make sure when I teach it, you're following along and I'm able to really focus in and lock in and give you the best understanding, that perspective. Okay. So that's what I want to make sure I do. I don't want to do anything half-stepping or half-baked when it's supposed to be for your learning, edification, and on behalf of the Most High. Okay. So forgive me and bear with me with that. But yeah, with that, I'm going to go ahead and say shalom. Okay.